This show is produced by the Harwood Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris, and we love making this show available to you free of charge. If you'd like to help us keep it that way, make a contribution to our Karma Jar or become a show sponsor. To learn more, visit our website. This morning I've baked a batch of these delicious honey muffins. These muffins come together really quickly and with ingredients you usually have on hand. And the best part is that you can use any kind of honey you like. Now we're going to start by getting our muffin pan ready. Now this recipe makes 12 honey muffins. So I'm first going to put a paper liner in each one of the wells. And then I'm going to take a little bit of baking spray and I'm just going to spritz the top. And the reason I do that is just in case the muffins puff up and start to bake onto the muffin pan, they'll release really easily. One of the things I love about making muffins is that many times you can make it all in one bowl. You don't have to get a mixer out. And that's the way it is with these honey muffins. I'm going to start by getting my flour measured out. I'm going to measure 2 cups of flour. And like I always do, I have a dinner knife. I'm going to stir the flour up with that knife just to kind of lighten it up a little bit. You know, when flour sits in a canister or even in a bag, it starts to settle and compress, and we don't want that when we're measuring. And then I'm just going to take my 1 cup, I'm going to get a nice big scoop of it, but then I'll take my knife again, and on the flat edge, I'm just going to kind of level that off and put that in my bowl. Next, I'll add 1/3 cup of sugar, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and this is what's going to give the lift to these muffins. Now it's really important that if you don't bake much, you're going to want to make sure that you have a real fresh container of baking powder. Many times if muffins don't rise correctly, it can be because the baking powder is old and the chemicals in it aren't as active as they once were. And the last dry ingredient is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. At this point, it's really important we get our spatula out and mix those dry ingredients together. I want the sugar to get through the flour as well as the salt and that baking powder. Next, I've got a cup of milk. I'm just using a 1% milk, but you can use whatever you have in the refrigerator. And to that, I'm going to add 1 egg. Now, the reason I'm adding the egg to the milk is because I want to take a fork and just lightly break that egg up. That will help me not have to stir quite so much when I put the liquid ingredients into the bowl. So if I do that right now, I'll have a nice tender muffin. And put that right in my bowl. And I've melted 4 tablespoons of butter. I've let it cool just a little bit, and I'll add that. And now our honey. I'm going to measure out 1/4 cup. I'm using a clover honey, but you could use any kind of all the wonderful honeys they have available. And now I'm going to mix this together. Now when we're mixing a muffin, we want to be careful not to overmix it. We just want to make sure that those dry ingredients are moistened. Make sure you drag your rubber spatula across the bottom, because that's many times where the flour is hiding. And that looks perfect. Now I have my large ice cream scoop out. I'm going to fill it about halfway. And I'll start filling these wells. The reason I fill it just halfway is I want to make sure that I get enough batter in each of the wells and that it's fairly evenly divided. If you have some wells that have a lot of batter and some that don't, they're not going to bake as evenly as you'd like. Now each well has 1/2 scoop and I still have some batter left. And then I'll just evenly divide that up, just adding a bit to each well. Now these are about 3/4 of the way full, and I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and these are going to bake for about 15 minutes. Now while the muffins are baking, I wanted to take a moment and remind you about our new badge program that we have at the network. People around the world are just having a ball with this. What happens is that we have created all of these beautiful badges, and you earn them by doing things that you see on our podcast. So for example, if you love baking and you like baking muffins, if you send me a photo or a little video clip of your muffins, well then I'll send you this muffin badge. There's all kinds of great things that you can learn. They're super fun to collect, and it's totally free to sign up. Just go to our website. We'll have all the information there for you. Now when these come out of the oven, it's important that we test them with a toothpick to make sure they're cooked through. So grab your toothpick, stick it right in the center, and when you pull it out, it should be nice and clear. And then these will sit in the pan for another 5 minutes. Then when it's time to pull the muffins out of the pan, I like to take a fork and just gently lift them out. I want to make sure that those nice peaks stay just like that. Now if you'd like to try these honey muffins at home, just go to our website and go to the Nothing But Muffins show notes page, and I'll have it there for you. And as always, if you have any questions or any ideas for me, please send me an email. I'll see you next time.